This is The Basketball Show with Shane the Hammer Heel. What they gonna say next?
Hi guys, welcome along to our final episode of the season. Shout out to TCL Mobile, NBA 2K23 and UPC Oz for getting us to this point. Hammer, how are you?
I'm very lonely, Jojo, very lonely in here by myself, whilst you are in America having fun, a bit jet lagged. What's going on over there in Austin?
I love it. Thank you for holding down the fort. Yeah, I'm over in the States. I've caught a few NBA games so far, which has been really fun. And there's plenty of energy and vibe leading into the playoffs and the play-in. So hopefully we'll get to a couple of those. Might even nab myself a ticket to the finals if I can afford it, because it's very, very expensive to try and get to these NBA games, but definitely worth going. So yeah, no, it's been a lot of fun so far. Missing you guys though already.
Yeah, well, just don't come back with an accent, all right? Make sure you do come back for next year's basketball show, although we wish you luck. We know you're on a trail over there. I reckon as anyone that's smart gets hold of you, Jojo, and big things will be happening in the States.
Keep fingers crossed for me, please. But yes, I'll be back for the basketball show next season. I can't believe that this is the last show of this season, though. Plenty to get through. Let's go straight into our TCL starting five. Well, Hammer, the NBA regular season is done and dusted. What a final day it was. There was beef and broken hands and record scores across the board. Shout out to Xavier Cooks, though. First career start and first double-double. What a way for him to end what's been a pretty insane season.
Yeah, there's a lot of players like Cookie that were happy at the end of the season to get their opportunity when a lot of the star players were rested. So well done to him, because it builds confidence as well. He got out there against those guys, was able to get it done. What a rebounding performance from him. But what about the news in Minnesota with Gobert and Kyle Anderson? I can't remember ever seeing a teammate punch another teammate in a timeout. You see plenty of arguments, but that's absolutely unbelievable.
No, there's clearly a lot happening behind the scenes there. A little bit of poking the bear, you could say, from Draymond Green on social media as well towards Rudy. And I don't know, you see Miles Plumlee as well get into it with his teammate on the bench too. So obviously just a lot of tension. The players, they know it's the end of the season, and if they're not pushing for a playoff or play-in, they want to get straight out of there and off to Cabo or somewhere like that. A team that won't be in the playoffs is the Mavericks. Now, they're being investigated by the league, and I'm going to read this so I get it right. The facts and circumstances surrounding their roster decisions and game conduct, including the motivation behind those actions. So essentially, they're looking into tanking. They sat out Kyrie Irving. They sat out the likes of Maxi Kleber, Tim Hardaway, Josh Green, Christian Wood. Luka played only the first quarter and some change against Chicago. This was when they could still have made the play-in. Now, I'm curious to know, I know the league have launched an investigation, but I mean, teams do this all the time. I can't see them getting anything but maybe a slap on the wrist.
Joe, they should wind back the date. They started tanking the day they traded for Kyrie Irving. From the time they signed him, they were never any chance. What were they thinking? Surely they only did that because they didn't want to go any further and they wanted a chance to get the big dog in the draft. Don't worry about the last week. That happened a long, long time ago when they signed that little fella.
Exactly right. And so therefore it's unlikely that anything will come of
Nothing's
it. But hey, they've got a decent chance now at signing Victor or someone like Scoot at least. And let's see what happens, because they're going to have to be working pretty hard to hold on to Luka as well, it would seem.
They're a mess,
the MVP race, Joel Embiid has his nose in front, it would seem. But there are arguments that you can make for all three of these guys, him, Nikola Jokic, Giannis Antetokounmpo as well. Which way are you leaning now that the season's done?
If you wind back the clock, Jojo, that memory of yours will just embrace when I said that Embiid was $4.50 and he's a chance to be able to be the MVP. Jokic was unbackable, and Embiid is he's been fantastic this year. The only strike against him is when he pulled the pin and he did not want to play against Denver. He lost my vote then to say, come on, mate, head to head, this is what's going to embrace it. And it was like he was scared to go up against the big dog, and he just sat back and said, nah, I don't want to borrow this.
So who's getting your vote in that case?
Nah, I still got to go with Embiid. I'm going to go. I told you that when he was $4.50, he's going to be able to get this done, and he really has had an amazing season. So I think he's going to be able to get the nod, and well deserved.
Yeah, no, I think I agree with you there. Let's talk 50, 40, 90. Were you ever part of that club?
Oh, hell no. Not a chance. I shot too many threes to be part of that club, Jojo. So when you're throwing up a whole lot of threes, not many people that are going to be able to get up there. But he's been incredible. And I think part of that is that some of the pressure is taken off when you're playing with Booker. So I think for him to be able to do this, his shot selection, he shoots a lot of mid-range shots. He can get to the post. He gets high percentage shots inside as well. Really good fit for this club, and it's going to be really interesting to see whether he can take them to the next level in the playoffs.
Well, KD, only the third player to be in the 50, 40, 90 club, but Larry Bird and Steve Nash are the other two that have done it multiple times. So pretty nice company there. But he is also on track to become the first player ever to be in a 55, 40, 90 category of his own. So super impressive, and no doubt has been a massive acquisition for the Suns. Closer to home in the NBL, Will McDowell-White, he was obviously the big ticket in free agency, staying put at the Breakers. Did that surprise you at all?
Well, we got word that was probably the most likely scenario, but I've got nothing but respect for him with all of the big offers and some of the fancy clubs. You know, when you start talking about the Sydney Kings that won 2 championships in a row, you start talking about the Perth Wildcats, those big crowds, and for him to stay in New Zealand, where they really helped develop him and build his confidence in his game to the next level. I love his loyalty. And glad to see him there. He's going to have a huge season next year. They're going to be building all the way around him, and rightly so.
Yeah, I really like what the Breakers are doing. Hopefully they can go a step further next season as well. The time for points made thanks to UPC Oz. Let's welcome in Derek Rucker, as we do every week. D, what's happening?
Joe, the final show of the season, and you are in the US of A. How's life treating you over there?
It's awesome. It's awesome. It's been a lot of fun so far, building up to the NBA playoffs, obviously, which is what we're going to get to just now. So let's start in the East. We know the Bucks, they're waiting on the Heat, Hawks, Raptors, or Bulls. The Celtics play the winner of the Hawks and Heat. Before we get into the actual first round matchups, Dee, I'll come to you first. Who do you think's advancing in the play-in?
Wow, this is really tough. I'm just going to go with you know what? I'm going to throw one out there, Joe. I'm going to say the Hawks. And I'm going to go with the Hawks as my certainty. I'm not sure about the other team just yet.
Emma, what about you?
Yeah, I agree with the Hawks. I think the Hawks can make it, but I mean, it'd be a big win if they can get over Miami, right? But I'd like to see the Hawks be able to get there.
As a Miami fan, I'm taking massive offense to both of you right now. Not happy about it. Let's talk the round one matchups that we do know. The 76ers take on the Nets. That's going to be a lot of fun. And then obviously the Cavs and Director Dave's Knicks. Which of those two matchups sort of stands out the most to you, D, is the one that you're going to have your eyes on?
Both of them, really, because I think Brooklyn have some talent. They probably don't have enough to knock over the 76ers, especially with the form that James Harden's in. However, you must admit he's had a solid season, probably almost an all NBA season. And then the other one, I hate to break Director Dave's heart, but Cleveland's going to be too good, Joe. Their guys are well rested. They're more talented, and they've just got too many pieces for New York, I believe, in this series.
Well, I agree with both those, but I don't know why you're going on about Harden. It's Embiid, the one that's been able to carry them, and Harden just chooses and picks and chooses when he wants, and then just comes in when the games are a little bit easy. The man is put his hard hat on has been Embiid all year. He's just kept coming up with the numbers.
This guy.
I love it. All right. What about the West, guys? We've got Josh Giddey and Dyson Daniel in the play-in. OKC up against the Pels, the Lakers and Timberwolves as well. Who advances to take the 7th and 8th seed there?
You know, Hammer, if you had asked me a couple of weeks ago, I would have said OKC knock off New Orleans. But the way New Orleans has been playing lately, I think Josh and them are going home. I just don't think they're going to have enough either, much like the Knicks. And, Joe, it's going to be interesting. Now that Golden State has got that 6th spot, I know we're going to touch on it, but I'm telling you right now, forget everything in the West. If Wiggins is 65% of Wiggins, they're coming out of the West. End of story.
Wow.
Big call.
That is a big call. Back to the play-in game. Minnesota, with the turmoil that we've seen there today, fighting in timeouts, punches being thrown. Oh, my goodness, how could you see them going any further with that sort of stuff? So OKC hopefully can get a W. I've fallen in love with the way they've been able to play. Obviously, our heart is with Josh Giddey as well, but I just love the enthusiasm and the athleticism and the way they share the ball. They play hard all the time. I'd love to see them get a win.
You know,
Right,
Hammer, it's interesting also. Oh, sorry, Joe. It's interesting, though, that these no-name coaches have come out of nowhere. Hammer, I bet you don't even know OKC's coach's name because I knew it for like 2 days and I've totally forgotten it.
Yeah, you're right. That bet is correct weight.
I love it. All right. What we do know is the Kings are taking on the Warriors. I take it from what you guys have said just there that you don't see Sacramento advancing.
Well, I don't know, Joe. I'm going to be guided by you a little bit on this one. You've been killing Sacramento all year, but now that you're over there and living in America, basically, what's the vibe been like towards the Kings? Do people feel in the NBA circles that they're a legitimate team?
I would say not. I think everybody's looked at that Warriors matchup, the fact that they've won 5 of their last 6 games. They're building momentum, as you say. I don't think many people here are predicting the Kings getting through.
But I think that plays in that plays into their favour. I don't think anyone gives them a chance, yet they've been able to string a great season together. They've got their roles set out. They're confident. They know that no one gives them any sort of a chance. And if Golden State try and play Wiggins into form and play him too much, sometimes that can upset them a little bit because they're starting to play good basketball. And Klay Thompson came out in the last couple of days and said that nobody in the league can beat them, that they're confident that they're going to be able to make this happen and that no one can get it done against them.
And it will be interesting because their road record is abysmal, one of the worst road records in the league. If they can reverse it in the playoffs, but you know what, Shane? Has there ever been a worse record road team that you have more trust in going into a big road game in the playoffs other than these Warriors? And I know you hate Steph Curry, but as long as Steph Curry is on that floor, yeah, you do. I
love Steph Curry, mate. Always.
You've been appeasing me for 3 or 4 years because you don't want to offend me. I can tell deep down in your heart that you're a LeBron guy and not a Steph guy.
Wow. I don't know where that came from because you know I love Steph. James Harden, you're right. Kyrie Irving, you're right. But not Steph Curry. Come on.
Well, the Warriors have beaten the Kings 3 of the 4 times they've played. So I guess from Sacramento's point of view, having that one win maybe gives them a tiny bit of confidence going in. The other matchup, we've got the Suns and Clippers. KD up against Russell Westbrook. Jock Landale in action too. Who comes out there?
I would love to see Jock get some time. He's been really productive every time he's in there. And, Joe, I just don't think anybody in the competition can stop Kevin Durant when he's on. The only thing that's going to stop KD is himself, Hammer. And, as long as those guys can stay healthy, at some point, Golden State and Phoenix are going to run across each other. And you know how I feel about it. Is Chris Paul going to be able to keep up with the backcourt of Golden State? I wouldn't think so, Joe.
Geez, they've got to get past the Clippers first, mate. Don't worry about that. It's going to be a tough matchup, I think. And I tell you, Wiggins, a little bit of respect for the Clips, if you don't mind. But
You're right.
I reckon Wiggins probably needed the same amount of time as KD did, because when he came back after he hurt his ankle, you know, he had those cobwebs a little bit and just had to play his way in. But now he's going to be fresh for the playoffs. Had enough games now, I think, with Booker and Chris Paul to be able to work things out. And if they can get things right, they're going to have as much scoring talent as anyone in the comp.
One last point. Who is the best defensive team? Who has that stopper? Back in my day, Joe, you may not have heard of these guys, but one by the name of Dennis Johnson. You would know him. In Hammer's day, it was Joe Dumars. Joe, when you're in millennial era, it's been Kawhi Leonard who's been that predominant defensive player. Who is that guy now? You know who he is, Hammer. A.W. Andrew Wiggins, the guy who you were spreading false rumors about his wife and his kids. Andrew Wiggins is back and he's ready to roll.
What are you, mate? What's in the Brisbane water right now? I tell you, oh my goodness.
Yeah. All right, very, very quickly, Dee, before we let you go, looking a little bit further ahead, who comes out of the West and comes out of the East?
You didn't hear me? I told you Golden State is coming out of the West. Shane can throw up his.
Wiggins is 65% himself.
Yes, that's enough. That's enough. And I just don't think those other teams, you know, Phoenix, how durable are they going to be? Do I really believe in the Clippers? Playoff P, he hasn't played like a month to 6 weeks. Who else do you believe in out there, Joe?
I've been on the Nuggets train for quite a while now.
Joe, they haven't won a game this month.
Mate, what did Denver have to do, D? What did Denver have to do to get your respect? I tell you, they're in a good spot because over the last few weeks they've been able to rest players, they've been able to maintain top spot, but you know they've been able to come in cherry ripe for these playoffs, and they'll come in with a whole lot of confidence and a whole lot of people like you that have just given them absolutely no chance, even though they're the top team in the West.
I give them like fourth best chance coming out of the West.
Oh, please.
What about the?
I don't think the Kings can get there. They don't play enough defense, Joe. They just, you know, there's some NBL teams that could defend better in the NBA than the Kings.
Who comes out of the East?
Milwaukee.
Okay, Milwaukee Warriors. Hammer, what about you?
Yeah, Milwaukee. No doubt about it. I've been on Milwaukee the last few years, just really impressed. They would have been better last year had Middleton not got injured at a critical time. But I just feel like they've got their roles perfectly set out. When you've got a superstar like the Greek Freak that just goes at 100%, he's selfless, he can put points on the board, he rebounds, he defends, you can tell he's a great teammate, then you always give yourself a chance. And don't underestimate the importance of Joe Ingles as well. His veteran presence come playoff time is going to be important, not only on the court, but also in the locker room. So I actually think they're going to go all the way.
Hey, Joe, can you give Shane and I your elevator pitch for Miami? Listen to this, Hammer. You want to laugh? Here we go.
I've been in my feels all day with Miami and Udonis Haslem today. I can't see them getting too far. I'd love to see them beating the Hawks, but I think then they come up against Boston and that'll be it.
Well, that's not a very good pitch.
I don't mind them against Boston, to tell you the truth. Like, you can never count Miami out. That guy Jimmy Butler's a warrior. They've got Pat. They've got the top 2 or 3 coaches in the league in Spo. And they're going to be ready. They're hard to kill, you know, Hammer?
No doubt. I'm not sure they're going to have enough to be able to get it done and advance even to the top 2 in the East, but in the West. But what am I talking about today? I don't think they're going to have enough anyway. But you're right. Yeah. Culture-wise, they always give themselves a chance, and whoever they come up against is going to be a tough battle.
Yeah, I like that line of thinking. Plenty to play out with the playoffs ahead, the play-in, of course, and then everything else kicks off next weekend. Dee, love your work as always.
Thank you, guys.
All right, welcome to In Depth with NBA 2K23, and it is my honour for royalty in the NBL and world of basketball, the D-Train, Dwayne McClain. Welcome, brother.
How you doing, my friend?
You know, I'm going to bring you back the first time that I really got a chance to be able to talk to you. You probably don't even remember. It was in an all-star game, and I was lining up at the bar, and you came around and you grabbed me and he goes, "Come on, young fella." I was only like 19. "Let me take you to the bar." And we ended up having a few drinks.
Yes. You were making your mark in the league at that time.
I was only a young fella.
As a young fella doing your thing.
A little cocky and, throwing up a couple of threes. And
I want you to know I appreciate it. That's all.
Mate, let's go back. We've just finished the NCAA
Yes.
in March Madness, and it goes off. I want to go back to your time when you came through college.
Okay.
Talk to us about some of the success you had, because it was off the charts.
Yeah. Back then, early, mid-'80s, the Big East Conference, part of the conference I was in, Andrew Gaze played in the Big East Conference
Yes.
with Seton Hall, Villanova. My senior year, we had three Big East teams in the Final Four.
Yeah,
with
crazy.
Georgetown with Patrick Ewing, St. John's with Chris Mullen, and our Villanova squad. We just were fortunate to catch fire at the right time, won a national championship.
Of course you did.
And that's never been done since. You never had three teams from one conference reach the Final Four. And the beauty about the NCAA tournament this year is you didn't have a 1, 2, 3 seed in the Final Four at all.
Amazing.
So March Madness, the upsets always happen, and that's why it's a great tournament.
You were big time, mate, in college. Talk to us about how big the tournament is. When you're an American kid growing up, I mean, that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
Right?
Your dream is to, of course, go on and play college basketball.
Yeah.
Hopefully get a scholarship.
Yeah.
And you do well there, you transition to the next level. But the college was my best experience by far. I played 12 years of pro basketball in 7 different countries, including down here, which is my favorite country to play in, by the way.
Of course.
But the NCAA tournament, Villanova University, that national championship in 1985 was something I'll always stay with me.
And that led you to get drafted and spend some time in the NBA. How was that?
Yeah, it did. On the success of winning that tournament, I was the 27th pick in the NBA draft. Spent a year, my rookie year with the Indiana Pacers, which was fantastic. As a kid, you're living your dream playing in the NBA. You know what that's like.
Yeah.
And from there, I bounced around, played in 7 different countries. Went to France, Greece, the Philippines, Indonesia, and finally made my way on the shores down here.
How did you end up here? Who got you here? And
Well, you know what? In 1990, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was having a farewell tour for his retirement.
The Daydells.
The Daydells, correct.
Yes.
And I was selected to play on his team to tour Australia. And we had a lot of older NBA guys on that team, George Gervin, Artis Gilmore.
Yes, I remember.
Marcus Johnson, a host of NBA greats, legends. And of course, we had just got off the plane to play here in Australia after a 20-hour flight, and the older guys didn't want to play. So me being one of the younger guys on the team, I got out. We played against you guys here in the Sydney Entertainment Center, and I had a pretty good game. And that was my first exposure to Australian basketball. Bob Turner saw that game, and a year later, I was back here playing with the Kings.
Talk to us about the Kings, because we've just won 2 championships and they're doing really well. The crowds are big, but we talk about the 90s, and basketball was off the charts in Sydney. Sold out arenas. God bless Mike Robleski, one of the greatest owners, Andrew Lazarus. Those guys put that together. There was a waiting list of 100 trying to get a box in those days.
I mean, I think what they did extremely well was they tapped into the grassroots of Australia. They went and had all the players go to the schools, reach out to the kids, and just more or less make us a part of the community at a very, very early grassroots level. And of course, if you give a kid a free ticket, his parent has to pay to take him, right?
Yeah.
So we used to sell out playing downtown at the entertainment center. I know right now they don't have a venue downtown where they play.
Yeah.
They're out at Homebush, I believe, right?
Yes.
But it was fun times in the early 90s, and Mike Robleski had a lot to do with that. He's a great owner.
I remember after games, as an opposition coming to town, it was great playing in Sydney, but you go upstairs and the bar was just packed. There was hundreds and hundreds of kids and families and everybody else waiting to be able to see the players and all the rest of it. It was a great time.
Oh yeah, that was also part of the commitment. The players would interact, with the fans right there in the stadium post-game. So yeah, they made a whole show of it.
Do you still keep in contact? Do you watch the NBL at all? Or?
I do. I have back-to-back titles for the Sydney Kings, of course.
Yeah.
And I'm very happy with Zay Cooks going over to the States now. How good is that? Yeah.
Are you noticing a difference in the States of the amount of Australians that are now transitioned into the NBA?
Well, I just think that the Australian talent has gotten that much better.
Yeah.
It's improving and it's showing. I mean, now you got like Warwick Giddey kid, Josh, playing in the NBA, Ben Simmons.
He's a little bit better than was.
Much better than Dad, but that's how we want it. I think
of course we do.
As parents, we want our kids to be much better than we are. And it's happy to see that. These guys are not just getting there, but they're competing and they're playing well.
And some of these highlights that we're seeing, Leonard Copeland and some of the Americans that have come to town and really had a huge influence on the growth of basketball. Love seeing those old highlights of you guys playing.
Anytime you can see Leonard, Leroy Loggins, Mark Davis. These are some of the great imports that laid the foundation when I came here, and they welcomed me with open arms.
And you're a bit dusty because you've caught up with Rodney O, so we'll leave that.
Yeah, so I apologize for mentioning his name on air, but that's my guy.
No, he's our man. He's our man. And what are you doing back in Australia, mate?
Back in Australia now, I'll be here for a couple of months. Actually, when I left here in 2003, back in the States, we started Any Hoops Academy, a basketball academy. And this year is 20 years since we've been operating. We're going to run our first events here in Australia.
Cool.
Yes.
Where do people look out for it?
Well, again, you're going to go to anyhoopsacademy.com online, and those portals will send you to one of the 4 locations that we're going to have. One will be in DY, at Ryde, a couple in the city, and I might even go down to Melbourne and do one.
Melbourne, teach them how to shoot with that left hand? And
no, I'm teaching them how to dunk. You can teach them how to shoot.
Yeah, I don't know anything about dunking. But all good, mate. Well, thanks for coming in, and great to see you had a huge impact on Australian basketball. So you are royalty here in Sydney for the old people that remember it. You're a dead set legend, mate. Good on you. Good luck with the clinics.
Learn from a pro, right?
Yeah. At what level has your coach played?
I like that.
Good on you, mate.
Hammer, that brings us to the end of another season for the show. It's been real.
I think it's year number 5, Jojo. So it's been a big season. So many good memories this year. Kings 2 championships in a row. Townsville in the WNBL. The Opals won a medal here on home soil. Lots of good things. And how many good interviews? Who was your favourite interview this year, Joe?
Oh, favourite interview this year. CJ Bruton springs to mind. He was great to chat to. Open and honest, which is what we love. What about you?
We certainly do. Well, Brennan Joyce was good, but we had lots of good ones, didn't we? So we thank all of our guests throughout the year that have been so open with us and come on the show and give us all the details. So hopefully lots more next year.
Have you got a favourite moment of the season?
Oh, there was just too many, I think. Too many. You put me on the spot. I don't think I've got one, but I think the championships, what you go through for a long year, and like I've mentioned, the Kings to be able to get that done again, down 6 or something with 5 minutes to go, to be able to claw their way out, and they had to do that a number of times during the finals. And for the Townsville women's team to win 16 in a row, just an incredible effort to be able to clean sweep everybody in the playoffs. So well done to both those teams. Can't wait for everybody to retool all the recruits and we make our predictions for next year.
No, exactly right. I reckon my favourite moment, though, is probably going to be moving into our new studio with 3 shows left because it had air conditioning. We absolutely melted right throughout the season in our other studio.
Yes, we did. Yes, we did.
But it's been a lot of fun. Christmas Day game as well in the NBL, I thought was awesome and will be obviously continuing for years to come. Thank you, Hammer, for everything that you do. Thank you to Dee, Director Dave behind the scenes, and everybody who works on the show. So, of course, we want to shout out to them, to our sponsors, TCO Mobile, NBA 2K23, UPC Oz, but mainly, of course, to our viewers who watch the show. We love your support, your feedback, and hopefully you guys will be with us again next year too.
Yeah, I just reiterate all of that. We've got so many people that have supported us over the 5 years, so can't wait to get back amongst it next year. And as basketball continues to grow, it's coming with crowds, with the audiences on TV, the whole lot, and we love playing our little role in that as well.
We do. All right. Until next season then.
Stay safe, Joe. Good luck.
You too. See you guys.
This is a co-production by News Corp Australia and Closer Sports.